Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. It's Misha. I said we're going to talk about PCOS today, so we're going to talk about PCOS, insulin resistance, and some things that you might not know are happening, and some new science. So I'm going to give everybody just a chance to hop in, but we're going to talk about PCOS. I'm going to talk about why it's linked to insulin resistance. We're going to talk about what insulin resistance is very briefly. Then I'm going to go into all the details and give you guys some answers too, so it's not just me inundating you with information and you're like, but what do I do? How does this, what does that mean to me? How am I going to get better? Because I want you all to start feeling better. That's why I do this every day in the depth that I do it in. Plus I love to teach. I love to talk to people. So let's dive in here. I just want to make sure it doesn't look like, again, that I'm going live on TikTok, but we're just going to have to deal with that. Supposed to be, but it doesn't look like I am. So we're going to dive in. Insulin resistance, PCOS. You guys, it's PCOS. First off, I want to tell you, PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And it's a silent battle. It's a battle that many women have. Maybe they're feeling insecure about it. They're feeling frustrated about it. They're being given all kinds of solutions and or told that it's genetic or that it's just their hormones. And so they're either saying, well, you're just going to struggle with this because of your genetics, or we've got to start addressing your hormones. Well, it is a hormone problem, but maybe they're not addressing the right hormone. And that is, for me, that's the real issue. If we would be addressing the right hormone, more women could be getting better around the world. And that, I think, is very important. So I want you to ask yourself this, ladies, because this is polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's affecting your periods. It's affecting your fertility. It's affecting your moods and your weight. But I want you to think about if you've ever looked in the mirror and felt like your body just isn't your own anymore. You're doing everything right. You're doing everything you're told. You're eating healthier. You're exercising more. You're trying every tip and trick that you've been given, but your weight just won't budge, right? Does anybody feel that? Or do you know somebody who feels like that? I remember when I lived in Idaho, in Boise, there was a beautiful, vibrant young woman, very thin her whole life, very active in sports, just a brilliant young woman. And then by the time she hit her preteen, or not her preteens, her mid-teens, it started changing. She started piling on weight she couldn't get rid of. She was struggling with facial hair. She just didn't feel like herself anymore. And it caused her, she had a great voice and she was a singer, but it caused her a lot of social anxiety because people made a lot of assumptions about her. Nobody really understood that she had PCOS and that it was affecting her body shape, her moods, her everything. So if your skin is breaking out, like you're a teenager again, you're exhausted even after a full night's sleep, because ladies, this is not just a teenage thing. This can hit you all the way, and it just changes your whole body, even until menopause. So you're exhausted even after you have a full night's sleep. You're worst of all, your periods are unpredictable, or you have them disappear altogether. You guys, I've heard, especially when I worked in medical clinics, I heard more and more about women whose periods were dysregulated, and they would give them the pill to try and regulate their periods. They would give them hormones to try and regulate their periods. But the one hormone doctors were not addressing was insulin. And it's probably the most important hormone that we could address for this. In fact, many people are now thinking it is the most important hormone that we could address for PCOS. So your doctors are telling you just to lose weight. Like, if you just lost weight, you'd be doing so much better, right? We've all heard that, people with PCOS, because I struggle with PCOS too. You've heard that if you just lost weight, you'd do better, that you're given the birth control as the solution. Maybe you've even been handed a prescription for metformin, and they didn't give you an explanation as to why you're getting metformin when you're going in for PCOS or period problems or weight gain. They just hand you this prescription and say, take it. But you don't know what's actually happening inside your body. We're going to break that down today. So the truth that no one is telling you is that PCOS is not just a hormone imbalance. It's a full body metabolic disorder. So the observer said drinking spearmint tea can help a little with facial hair and taking inositol powder or capsules. Observer, I'm going to give you something that we're going to talk throughout this talk about a protocol that's actually scientifically designed to address metabolism and insulin resistance. And I have so many women who didn't just get a little bit of their facial hair gone or maybe regulate their periods a little bit. They got back to normal and were able to start families with 2 real food products, vegan, halal and gluten-free. And it wasn't just like a one piece thing. This is an all around approach. So is it possible to have PCOS without irregular periods? It's less likely that you're having PCOS without irregular periods, but it's very likely that insulin is still playing a role in why you're having infertility problems. We're going to talk about why that's going to happen in just a minute. That's a great question, Lan Friend, and it's one that hasn't been asked to me before. So before I dive into that question too much, I want to go do some looking. It makes sense to me that you could have PCOS and a number of the other symptoms, but still have what would be considered regular periods. So your period should be about a 28-day cycle, right? And if you're outside of that, you might be having problems. Now, if it's not insulin, then it's possible it is something else. Okay. And I don't want to give you a wrong answer, friend. So I want to make sure that I will come back to YouTube. I will get your name. I will do some research on your question, and then I'll do a short video to give you that answer in detail that I'm confident in. Is that fair? Okay. So what PCOS really is, polycystic ovarian syndrome, the number one cause of infertility in women that's affecting 1 in 10 women worldwide. It's not just about fertility. It's a condition that affects almost every system in your body. And it's driven by hormonal chaos, where the delicate balance that controls your metabolism, energy, skin, hair, and even your emotions gets completely thrown off track. That's what I'm here for, Fran. I mean, totally. I was just having a talk with someone today and I said, hopefully we're saving lives and at least changing some lives. Like, I am here to sell a product. I'm going to be very clear about that because I believe in the product. But if I can give you help in any way that's going to help you, that's what my life has been about. And that's what brings me happiness. So I'm happy to do it. All right. Now, if PCOS is driven by hormonal chaos, hey, Quirky, where the delicate balance that controls your metabolism, energy, skin, hair, and even your emotions gets completely thrown off track, then it's not just about your ovaries. It's about how your entire body is processing energy. I want to check TikTok and see if it's finally showing me live there. I think it is. All right, so let's get back to it because I really want to address you guys, and we'll deal with TikTok on another day. So, polycystic ovarian syndrome, the number one cause of infertility in women. And you guys, if you're men listening to this, great. I want you to help your women out. If you're in a relationship, if you have a daughter, a mother, a wife, or somebody who's suffering, let them know to come watch this video later. But if you're a man, I'm going to give you some tips later if I have time about how this is affecting you too in a very different way. Okay, so PCOS, that condition, 1 in 10 women worldwide. It is about insulin resistance. But let's talk about some of the symptoms of PCOS. Okay, so other than irregular periods, you have this unstoppable weight gain. No matter what you do, the scale's not moving. It feels like your body's fighting against you. I remember being there, like no matter what I did wasn't working. And so I gave up and said, I might as well have the candy bar. I might as well have the Snickers. I might as well whatever, because nothing I do is working, right? If you feel like that, you probably have insulin resistance, possibly have PCOS. You get some exhaustion and brain fog. You're tired all the time. You're struggling to get throughout the day without feeling drained all day. You have unpredictable or non-existent periods. Your cycle is completely erratic, or you haven't had a period in months. That happened for me. My periods would go from 6 weeks to maybe a couple of months to maybe once a year. It was at that 28 days, but it was very sporadic. That's PCOS. And back in my day, because I'm 61, they just didn't talk about PCOS. They just didn't talk about this hormonal imbalance. They weren't even at that time blaming it on genetics or other hormones. They just were like, you have a fertility problem. And I remember going to the doctor twice a month, every month, to try and figure it out. So you can also, though, get painful cystic acne and oily skin. So the kind of breakouts that don't just respond to skincare. If you're dealing with skincare and you just like all of these proactive and all the stuff that they have out there, it doesn't seem to be working for you, it could be PCOS. So you may be showing up with excess body hair. So maybe you're getting hair on your chin, but you're losing hair on your head. That's a typical symptom of PCOS, and I'm going to explain in a few minutes why that's happening and why it's highly linked to insulin resistance and how that can stop when you get the insulin under control. Okay, and then I'm going to talk to you about how to get the insulin under control. I'm not just going to leave you guys hanging, so don't think that either. So I just talked about that. Maybe you're losing hair on your head, like a man with male pattern baldness. No one can tell you why. I was losing hair, thought it was just age. When I pull my hair back, this whole piece of hair was lost. And so I started learning to wear my hair longer and bring it forward. And my hairline was receding because I was losing hair. And should be talking about it, is personal and private, have some moral and, oh, Claire, we're talking about a problem, and I'm not sure what your intent was, but let's talk about this real quick before I get into the rest of the symptoms. If women are suffering and not being given the right answers, they're not being told, and they're already feeling bad about themselves, this is not a female issue that's private. This is something that's affecting thousands of women, millions of women worldwide in a real way, that's costing them their sanity, their social, want to be out in social activities. They don't feel good about themselves. They feel like less than a woman. Why would I not talk about this? This is important information. And when it's driven by something like our modern food environment that's causing this hormone of insulin to create all the rest of the havoc, we need to understand that so people can get better. I am not going to shut my mouth so that everybody can stay sick and be private about these little things. No, I'm not going to. I want people to understand that this doesn't have to be difficult. I should not be talking about it. Yeah, I will be talking about it forever and ever and ever because it's important. So they also get mood swings and anxiety, feeling irritable, anxious, even depressed. Like your emotions are completely out of control. You get dark skin patches. You guys, I did not know that the dark skin patches I had on my neck, on my elbows, on my knees were related to my PCOS, was related to insulin resistance. So you now know that. So if you have those symptoms, and I'm going to go back over them again: unstoppable weight gain, exhaustion and brain fog, unpredictable or non-existent periods, painful cystic acne and oily skin, excess facial hair or body hair, hair thinning on your head though and balding, mood swings and anxiety, and dark skin patches. If you have a number of those, you're either already insulin resistant or you have PCOS and it's driven by insulin resistance. So the problem is most women don't realize they have this, and so they're not able to address it, and they're sitting in this quagmire of there's something wrong with me. Maria, we're done. Or Claire. All right. It's a very personal and private, and somehow this, you guys, there's some women over on YouTube that are saying it's a very personal and private conversation. And my gosh, if we don't talk about this very personal thing that's happening to so many women, are we just advocating that women remain sick and without answers and that they suffer? Because that's not what I'm here for. And it breaks my heart that people think that. I removed her. I blocked her. She'll never be on our lives again. You guys, I'm okay with discourse, but I'm not okay with that kind of toxicity. And I've learned to just be like, we're done. So that's where we're at. She's done. She'll never be on one of my lives again. All right. So, because it's important information to get out. So I want to get back to this and stop worrying about the trolls. So most women don't realize they have it because PCOS symptoms show up in so many different ways and your doctor's missing it. right? It's dismissed, it's undiagnosed, it's misdiagnosed, it's completely ignored, and it's made to be that you are the problem, that you're doing something wrong. And what we need to understand is that we've been taught wrong, that we've been given the wrong information, and predominantly by the medical professional that doesn't have any nutritional experience, right? Most doctors do not, 80% of doctors have never taken one single nutritional course in college. And I'm not saying they're not worth something, but when we're talking about a nutritional disease disorder, it's important. This is why they're not diagnosing it. Okay. So I want you to ask yourself this. I think we're good. Okay. So I'll just try to answer questions as we go. You guys have your conversation over there. If you have questions for me, let me know and I'll interject where I need to. But I want you to think, if you're a woman, have you ever been told that your symptoms were just part of being a woman? Or that you needed to try harder to lose weight, or that if you just got up and moved more, if you just cared about yourself more, if you just stopped putting all the donuts in your face and they don't even know your diet, what if that could get better, if you just had more willpower, that you would get better. But the problem isn't your willpower, but it's something deeper, right? What is the truth? And we're going to get to that truth, land friend. So the truth is, it's our food environment. And I'm going to explain insulin resistance in just a second, and you'll start to understand why this is happening, because we're given the wrong information. Because I also heard a doctor talking just recently about why do we test for blood sugars, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, and not insulin. And the doctor very succinctly said, because we don't have a pill to give you and a good test for insulin, we have a pill to give you for blood sugar. We have a test for blood sugar because we have a pill we can prescribe you. Okay. So for years, PCOS has been treated like a mystery. You guys, when I started this journey, I remember everybody would come at me. No, it's not. It's genetic. No, it's not. It's hormonal. You're off your rocker. You don't know what you're talking about. 4 years later, science is showing that I was in line with them all along. So let's talk about it. Doctors throw medications at the symptoms without addressing the actual cause. Okay. They give you birth control that forces a fake period but doesn't restore ovulation. So when they're giving you those birth control pills to normalize your period, it's not really giving you ovulation or the better chance of being able to conceive a child, especially if you want to have a family. It's giving you a fake period. Now, metformin, it tries to fix insulin, but it doesn't solve the problem because we're not getting at the root of the problem. Okay. Weight loss is recommended, but nobody tells you why. But if you have PCOS, how are you supposed to lose weight? Exactly, the observer. I'm so glad you said it. I try to be careful about that. Doctors are not giving you this. And in many cases, I've worked with many doctors, and some were just like, just give them a pill, shut up, go away. Some doctors would let me go educate patients on what was really happening with them and more natural solutions. But it's kind of across the board. I worked in doctors' offices where all they did, it was like multiple times a week, we had drug rep lunches. So Ivo, I'm gonna tell you about insulin resistance right now, and then I'm gonna talk about a protocol really quickly that's helped a number of girls with PCOS, with women with PCOS, women in menopause, and men with both low testosterone and erectile dysfunction. But let's get through the part about insulin resistance, Ivo, and then I'm gonna tell you that, okay? Because yeah, so this live, Lanfran, will be when I'm done, you'll be able to come back and watch it and capture it. You can put it on 1.5 speed so you can get through the content quicker. I love that you subscribed. Thank you. Come back and listen when you have time. All right. That's why I love doing this on YouTube. Okay, so you guys imagine this with the recommendations the doctors are giving you, that your metabolism is like a river that's supposed to flow smoothly, but insulin resistance is blocking that river. It's creating a flood in some areas and a drought in others. Your body's trying to adapt, but everything feels off. Your weight, your hormones, your energy. And instead of just boiling the water or bailing out the water, sorry, you have, or symptom management, you have to get at the root cause of what's causing the blockage. You can't just bail the water out and get better. You've got to figure out what's causing that restriction in flow so that you remove the blockage. Okay. And you can remove the blockage by addressing insulin resistance. Hi, GV. So if insulin is at the root of PCOS, doesn't it make sense that instead of all of those other methods, metformin, birth control, weight loss pills, all of that, which are not addressing the root cause, that you actually go in and address the insulin? So I'm going to talk about insulin resistance right now so you can understand why, what's happening, and why the protocol or the solution I'm going to give you is actually working. It's scientifically designed and backed by many universities and hospitals throughout the world. So if your body isn't broken, it just needs the right support, is what we really need to understand. Your body's not broken. You're not deficient in medications. You're not deficient in metformin or birth control. Your body's not really broken. You just haven't gotten the right support in so it can do what it's supposed to do. So let's dive into a brief about what insulin resistance is. So if you've ever felt like no matter what you do, your body just won't respond, the weight won't come off, energy is low, and cravings are controlling you, I'm going to give you the answer. It's probably insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is at the root of 95% of our chronic illnesses today, including fertility issues. It's a condition where your body stops responding to insulin the way it should. Now let's talk about that. So insulin is a hormone that's produced in your pancreas, different from the sex hormones. We have many, many hormones. But insulin, I think of it in two ways. It's a transporter and it's a lock and key. So if you think about insulin like a key that unlocks your cells so that they can take in the sugar in your bloodstream for energy, when you understand, when you spike that sugar all the time, too often, it starts to make that lock rusty. And then the cells don't get the energy in. And the energy is carbohydrates converted to glucose, or more succinctly, sugar in your bloodstream. Your bloodstream can only have about 1 teaspoon of sugar in it at a time. And then it's going to say, insulin, you got to get in here and help us. And insulin's trying to get the sugar out of your bloodstream. But when you're insulin resistant, the key stops working. Your sugar stays trapped in your blood instead of fueling your cells. Your body panics and starts producing even more insulin to force sugar in. And over time, this leads to weight gain, fatigue, hormone imbalances, and chronic inflammation. So I want to ask, if your body isn't responding to insulin properly, wouldn't it affect every system, including your hormones? And another question, if your body isn't responding to insulin and your body's already trying to produce excess amount of insulin, ask yourself why a physician is giving you more insulin. It's like giving an alcoholic a case of beer and saying, I hope you feel better. Okay. So imagine trying to fill a bathtub, but the drain is clogged. Your water or the sugar is rising. So you turn up the faucet or your insulin even more, but it only makes things worse. And the only way to fix it is to unclog the drain, not flood the system with more insulin. I think that inositol can work, but again, I'm going to give you something that's much more complete than inositol, addressing many more actions of the whole insulin resistance thing. You guys, what I want you to understand is I tried the berberine and inositol, all the other things, and I really didn't see a change in my overall health until I did this protocol that I'm talking about. Is she still on? I thought I blocked her, you guys. I'm sorry. I thought I blocked her from this end. I will go back in after this live and make sure she's never on another live stream, because we don't need toxicity. We're trying to help people. All right. So the science of how PCOS and insulin resistance are connected is like this. If PCOS isn't just about sex hormones, but it's about something bigger, insulin, like insulin, we need to understand it. So if you felt like your body's working against you and that the weight won't budge, you have those irregular cycles and exhaustion, it's more than just your regular sex hormones. It's more than likely insulin resistance. And I want you to ask you this too. If we know that it's insulin resistance, why are doctors not taking the first route of looking at insulin and addressing it, Instead, they're giving you more hormones. We're going to dive into why this is cutting into hormones in just a second. So PCOS, or polycystic ovarian syndrome, is the most common cause of female infertility, affecting 10 million women worldwide. But here's what most people don't realize. At its very core, it's too much insulin. Okay. So if the real issue isn't your ovaries, but it's insulin, we just need to know how to address that. It's not that a woman's broken. It's not that she has some misfunction. It's that we've been given the wrong dietary advice and the wrong food. You guys, I apologize. I thought that I had blocked her, and I wish I could go back in and block her now again, but I will make sure she's blocked on YouTube before the day is out. Okay. So imagine your body's like a factory with a strict production schedule, and every day you have certain tasks that need to happen at specific times to keep things running smoothly. But if the factory manager, insulin, starts giving you the wrong orders, everything falls apart. Production slows, deadlines are missed, you have too much of some things, not enough of other things get clogged up, there's chaos on the floor, and that's what's happening in your body when insulin disrupts your hormones. So if PCOS is a disease of too much insulin, again, why is the focus always on hormones instead of metabolism? What if you could reset the manager's orders instead of just masking symptoms? What if you could address the root cause, bringing back order into the system? Some people, especially a lot of the women that I've worked with, have found a way to help insulin work the way it's supposed to without extreme diets or medications. And I'm going to share that with you. So I love the political comments over there, but you guys understand I don't comment on those. If you guys just really need to know the system that I'm talking about as I'm talking, I'm going to drop this in over here, and then I'm going to continue with the talk, ask questions. Sorry for all the strife going on over in the chat. All right. So what's really going wrong? Why am I harping on insulin all the time with PCOS? A woman's menstrual cycle is complex, right? There's so many hormones going on and regulating what is happening with a woman's body. It's carefully orchestrated by the brain and the ovaries. So at the start of your cycle, estrogen is low, and the brain signals the pituitary gland to release something called follicle stimulating hormone, or we're just going to call it FSH. This hormone tells the ovaries to prepare eggs for ovulation. Maybe your doctor's trying to take that route to stimulate that, but how do they know when you're supposed to be doing it? Okay. So as eggs mature, estrogen spikes, and that signals the brain to release something else called luteinizing hormone. So now at one point in your cycle, your brain is saying, hey, ovaries, let's release some eggs into the ovary so that they can grow and mature. At some point, one of those becomes dominant. When that one egg is clearly the winner, the dominant one, the brain says, okay, now it's time for luteinizing hormone. And what luteinizing hormone does is it allows that dominant egg to exit the ovaries. That's called ovulation, the release of a dominant egg. Then it's also producing other hormones that are telling the eggs that are still in the ovaries to die off and go away. And that it also has to do with estrogen levels. So after ovulation, any leftover developing eggs are breaking down and disappearing, ensuring only one egg is released each cycle. But when insulin's too high, the entire process is getting disrupted. So ladies, have you ever felt like your body's stuck, like your hormones aren't working the way they should? Ask yourself if it could be insulin interfering, because it likely is. So think of your ovaries like a garden where every month a flower or an egg is supposed to bloom and be picked, but insulin acts like an overgrown weed, choking out the flowers before they can fully bloom. Instead of one healthy flower being picked, the buds pile up and they turn into cysts. So essentially, it goes like this. You have low estrogen levels, cueing your body to create luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone. That's telling you to produce eggs. As the eggs grow, then the brain says, okay, we're going to create luteinizing hormone. We only want one egg. We don't want 10 coming out. And so we want one to ovulate. At the same time, it's increasing estrogen, okay, so that that egg can grow and move out. And then you have one egg and you have ovulation and you have fertility. But if all of that gets disrupted and you don't have enough estrogen, those eggs that are still inside the ovaries are not dissipating, dissolving. They're continuing to grow, and they finally kind of just fall off, and they lie dead in the lining of the cells of the in the lining of the ovary, and that is causing inflammation and it's little pockets of cysts in the ovaries because those eggs were not allowed to dissipate because the rise in estrogen didn't come, which means the other hormones that need for those ovaries, those eggs to dissipate did not come out, and now it's painful. And now you don't have ovulation at the right time because that one egg that's dominant can't get ejected. It's just it's the whole thing is disrupted. Okay, so if insulin is the problem and it's jamming up that relay race where your eggs are trying to get out, wouldn't it make sense to focus on regulating your insulin first instead of doing more estrogen or more progesterone or more of any of the other things? If insulin, and I'm going to explain why insulin is, yes, it's all about lowering insulin. Diet helps, and we're going to go over that. Okay, so I have a comment here, and sir, we're going to put you in timeout. All right? You do not get to swear at other people in my life. This is not a free-for-all for some kind of emotional dysregulation in the chat. Not having it. All right. So let's get back to that. So wouldn't it make more sense to just focus on the insulin? And what I'm going to tell you about the protocol that I use is gluten-free halal. It's helping women worldwide with insulin resistance and therefore PCOS, Hashimoto's, a number of things. It's a tea I have in the morning, a tea I have in the afternoon, and a pre-meal drink I have before I eat. Okay, that's it. It is about $5 a day, but it's real food. It's not a bunch of medications. It doesn't interfere with medications. It actually makes everything more sustainable and easy as you figure out the path to what foods work best for you. Okay, so insulin, let's talk about those ovaries again. So normally an enzyme called aromatase converts androgens or male hormones like testosterone into estrogen. But when you have a high level of insulin in your system, ladies, it's blocking the production of that aromatase enzyme. And that means that we all start out with male hormones, okay? But it cannot convert those male hormones into female hormones because aromatase is needed, but high levels of insulin are blocking that aromatase. So estrogen levels are staying low while androgen levels remain too high. So you may have low mood, you may have brain fog, you may have hair growing on your face, balding on your head. Maybe you have excess hair on your arms or legs. Maybe you have that cystic acne. Maybe you have aggressive moods because your testosterone levels are too high and you're not ever getting the right amounts of estrogen. Okay. Boy, today is all about blocking idiots. Sorry. All right. So now, without enough estrogen, ovulation can't happen. Mid-cycle estrogen spike that triggers ovulation can't happen. And the dominant egg is never releasing. Instead of being ovulated, the egg stays trapped in the ovary and that forms cysts. And over time, those ovaries become burdened with those cysts, causing painful tummy issues and enlarged ovaries. And it's excruciatingly painful. Get your insulin under control so your body can produce the right amount of aromatase. So I'm going to tell you that IVO in just a minute. I don't know if I'm saying it right, IVO. So we understand that insulin is blocking ovulation, and that's why so many PCOS women struggle to get pregnant. Because again, it's not just about the timing of the period. It's about whether you're ovulating or not. and when the eggs are sitting inside the cells, inside the ovaries rotting, you're not having ovulation and you're not able to get pregnant because there's nothing to get pregnant. Okay. So imagine your menstrual cycle is like a carefully timed relay race. Each runner or hormone hands off a baton at just the right moment to keep things moving. But when insulin is too high, it's like one runner refuses to pass the baton. Okay. So testosterone's not creating estrogen, insulin's not creating the aromatase that allows that to happen, the baton's not getting passed. And it freezes the whole race. The final handoff or ovulation is never allowed to happen because that initial baton never got passed. Instead of finishing the race, all the runners pile up, and just like the undeveloped eggs forming cysts in the ovaries, create all kinds of chaos. Okay, so if insulin resistance is what's jamming up the relay race, wouldn't it make sense to focus on regulating insulin first? And the tea that I drink, which is in this mug right here, is known to produce, scientifically proven to produce or support insulin sensitivity, increase GLP-1 levels, stabilize blood sugar, helping with growth hormone and ketones, and mental health, helps you feel better without all the crashes and whatnot. And you don't have to starve yourself. This is also shutting down hunger, so you're less likely to overeat. By the way, with PCOS, you're hungry all the freaking time. So you're battling an uphill battle. Your hormones are off, creating this whole problem. And then because of it, you're even more hungry and you feel stuck and struggling and hopeless. And so that's why I love this system, because what we're doing is allowing you to shut down your hunger naturally to allow you to become more sensitive to the insulin that's being produced in your bloodstream so that your cells can work right, so that that aromatase can be produced, so that that testosterone can get converted into estrogens, and then now you start to see a release. So IVO, I'm going to stop and we're going to go over the system in whole, and then if I have time, I'll go over the rest of it. But understand that big piece, right? That big piece is why we're having PCOS. So when we look at the pre-meal drink part of the protocol, it's something that I have before I eat. Now, most people need to only have it once a day before their meal with the most carbohydrates. But what this one is doing is it's reducing a blood sugar spike. It's helping keep insulin levels low by reducing a blood sugar spike by up to 43%. Only pre-meal drink fiber on the market that has those scientific studies. Now, that's that. We'll come back to that. But I want to tell you, IVO, and anybody else who is wondering, I've had women, like there was one young woman who was struggling. Like I remember these times myself because I went through this too. But she's going to the doctor, wanting to have kids. She's going in several times a month, and she's being told she has PCOS and that she's never likely going to have children because of all the ovulation disorders. She's being told that it's genetic or a lack of willpower, and she's devastated because she's a newly married young woman, wanted nothing more than to start a family, and now her doctor's telling her she can't start a family. She started the system after 30 days. 30 days. She had her first normal period at a 28-day cycle. She had her first period. Second month, she has another normal period. First time that she can remember having that. Okay. Third month, she has no period and she's devastated. And this is a real story, by the way. I won't share her name, but I'm going to tell you her story. So she was devastated. And I can't, from the platform I'm on, Observer, I can't do it right now, but as soon as this live is over, I'm going to block her completely. Okay. She will not ever be on a live again. And I'm sorry I can't see her comments. But third month, she has no period. She's devastated. She feels like the system failed her. She feels like she's just stuck and she's never going to have the family she wanted, that, everything is just horrible. But on insistence by her husband, she went and took a pregnancy test. Guess what? 3 months on this system, she got pregnant. Okay. Now she has a baby that's more than 2 years old, going on 3, and has started the family that she always wanted, is not suffering with the excess weight, the excess hair, the emotional roller coaster, the cystic acne, the dark skin patches, the other hormonal imbalances. By the way, both men and women, when you get your insulin under control, I won't have time to talk about it, men, today, but when you get your insulin under control, I've seen many, many people get their hormones under control. So, guys, I'm going to share this with you. We spent way too much time on Charlie, Clary, whatever her name is. Um, Men, for you, because we've spent all this time talking about women, IVO, I hope that helps. And I'm going to put that link back in here. So, you guys, it's 2 products that are gluten free, halal, and they're so easy to use. It's changed my life, and I will never, ever, ever go without it. Has nothing to do with PCOS, but I'm going to tell you for the rest of your health. I've lost 55 pounds in menopause. I reversed my diabetes. I reversed my hypertension. I got my liver that was failing back to healthy. My kidneys were starting to fail. They're back to healthy. I stopped having joint problems and I've had 3 joint replacements. And we now know that it was likely due to insulin resistance. No more joint replacements for me. I was losing hair on my head and going bald. My hair is now the longest and thickest it's ever been in my life. My bleeding teeth and gums stopped. My eyesight got better. These glasses are a 1.75. 4 years ago, they were at a 3.0 diopter. My eyesight actually reversed as I got my insulin under control. And I started seeing meaningful changes within 3 days. But as time went on, it felt like every month something changed. Now, back to you guys. I want you to understand this is a real protocol. There's a lot of science behind it. In fact, the doctor who wrote this book, or the metabolic scientist who wrote this book, Why We Get Sick, my lighting is off in here, he helped produce these products because of his interest in dealing with metabolism more sustainably and naturally. So, men, back to you. That production of estrogen, testosterone happens in you in a very different way. You have testes and not ovaries. So you're producing testosterone, but as you're gaining weight, your fat cells start to act more like ovaries, and it's converting too much testosterone into estrogen. Now you get man boobs. Now you get love handles. Now you get low testosterone. Now you get erectile dysfunction. Now you get feeling like there is something wrong with you as a man, and it's not. There's something wrong with your food. I have a guy who is a school teacher, overweight, having erectile dysfunction, having low testosterone, all of that. He started on the system. And again, within 3 months, his testosterone bumped back up into a normal range. He regained function, saved his marriage. Because it can happen to you too. And not only in that way of the fat and the estrogen, having too much estrogen, but in the way that insulin resistance restricts your blood flow. There are videos on here where I talk about heart disease. It's important to understand the ways that this is restricting blood flow, because it's not just affecting your heart. You think about gout, you think about erectile dysfunction, you think about blood flow getting to any part of the body that needs it. Insulin resistance is impeding that. Okay. So yeah, I don't, the haters will be haters. The thing is, you guys, in this world, there are so many people who are just, and I would invite you guys, don't interact with her anymore. Just let her go. Because here's the thing. People who are going to be miserable are just trying to be in here to make you as miserable as them so they can feel better about themselves. Don't buy their trap. Don't fall into it. Understand that they're a hurt person trying to make other people hurt, and let them go. Just let them go. Because no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they're not going to listen to you because they just want to cause disruption. And look, they caused it. Don't let them have that much control in your life. And I promise you, they will be blocked from anything that I do as soon as I'm done with this life. Okay, you guys. So, I talk about the lifestyle stuff as not as much as I should, but this has really changed my life. You guys who are interested, Observer, IVO, and you guys also, in that link that I gave you, the Path to Wellness link, there is a place where if you're interested in the system after the brief explanation on that page and you just want to order, you can do that. We're worldwide. We're in over 60 countries worldwide. We're a science-based company. We have a 90-day money-back guarantee. So IVO, get your girlfriend to try it. give her 90 days. She's going to get to talk to me, and I'm going to be able to help her through anything that she has questions with in this, and we're going to get her feeling better. And if we don't, in 90 days, you get your money back. Okay? Who else offers you that kind of guarantee? You're right, observers. So, you guys check it out. And then there's also on that page, there's the middle link will allow you to just set a time with me to talk. And we can do it via text. We can do it on WhatsApp, so it's encrypted. But just let me know. I'm going to give you another link too, so you can just get a hold of me on WhatsApp if you want to. And here's the thing, you guys, as she's saying stuff that I can't even see, and we're going to remove all of that here in a minute. I suffered with PCOS. I was a woman who wanted nothing more in life than to have a family. So these women who come in and say, I'm suffering with this, I want, I don't understand, and they're feeling bad about themselves. I get it, because I was there, every bit of there. I was at the doctor twice a month, every month. I was shamed by my in-laws, by my husband, because I couldn't bear children. And no one back then ever, ever, ever talked about insulin resistance. So understand that it can get better. So what you're going to do is this. It's a tea in the morning, a tea in the afternoon, a drink before you have your meal, which is going to help reduce your blood sugar spike, helping you address your insulin. You're going to get coaching from me. We're going to figure out the eating pattern that works best for you, because we will ask you to do a 16-8 fast. But guess what? With the tea, getting your hunger down, it's going to be easier than you ever thought. All right, you guys, I know that there's so much chaos going in the chat that I can't see because I blocked her, but apparently not in the right way, that I'm going to stop this live early. Please reach out to me. I will do videos that I promised to do over this weekend and send them out to you guys. And then the rest of you just follow me. We're going to talk about more issues related to insulin resistance, because it's things like heart disease, high blood pressure, brain fog, Alzheimer's, joint deterioration, edema, and neuropathy. There's so many things that are leaking into insulin resistance, and people just don't know how easy it is to fix it, because in the bottom line of it is we're being told to eat too often, and we're being told to eat the wrong kinds of foods, and it's increasing our blood sugar spikes and increasing our insulin, and that is why we're sick. So I will do some shorter videos on the PCOS thing, so that you guys, I will really work hard on getting, and maybe I'll just record one and drop it into YouTube, so you guys don't have to go through all of this stuff. Yes, we're very active in Ireland, in the UK. I have customers in the UAE, in Singapore, in Australia, in Canada, in Mexico. You guys, we are worldwide. So that link, either link, you get to the one that talks about the protocol that I use. It's going to open up with the website that's appropriate to you. And we have distribution centers throughout the world. So you're going to get the same guarantees as they get here in the US, but you're not going to wait for it to come to you from the US. It's going to come to you from a distribution center near you. But what I want you to understand is, there's so many more reasons for facial hair, but with women with PCOS, it's an insulin dysregulation problem. I have a drawer full of essential oils, and I have, actually, I want to talk about this. I have a drawer full of stuff like that, right? Where everybody was saying, do this, do that. And so I ended up with this big, wide drawer in my kitchen full of all these supplements. And it was complicated, and I wasn't getting addressed everything I needed to get addressed. And I was frustrated. Now I don't use those things. I drink these 3 things every day, and that's it. I mean, I also use our bone complex, because I need to make sure that my bones are strengthened. I'm 61 and I didn't get enough to them earlier, but that's it, you guys. It fixes my gut health. It fixes my blood sugars. It's reversed my diabetes. It's reversed my, I don't recommend, I mean, I have nothing against inositol, but this is so much better. This has so many more actions, high in vitamins and minerals. Every vitamin and mineral that you need to sustain life is in this one tea. It also can improve your well-being, your feelings of well-being by up to 70%. We did a short study and we gave people this tea who had never drank it before. Their feelings of well-being increased by 70%. We're feeding the gut microbiome. We're reducing blood sugars. We're getting insulin under control. We're getting cholesterol under control. So the problem I have with inositol is it's not taking a complete approach. And so why combine a bunch of different things? I had a spreadsheet full of those things on my refrigerator that I used to take, and I don't anymore. All of those supplements that are sitting in my drawer in the cupboard are rotting, and I probably need to go throw them all out because I don't take any of them anymore. This is all I focus on, and my health is better than it has been in over 20 years. Okay? You guys, I appreciate you. We'll see you on the next live. I promise I'll be live on Monday. I may go live over the weekend. It depends on my mood and how much I want to deal with this kind of chaos, but we'll see you guys later. And if you have questions or want me to talk about something, let me know because I'm more than happy to come do that.